The question on everyone's mind right now is simple. Trump is handing out tariff checks, but who is really getting the money? At first glance, the answer might feel discouraging if you're a senior, a person with disabilities, or someone living on a fixed income. But if we dig deeper, there may be a bigger opportunity here than it first appears. The United States is currently generating an astonishing $29 billion every single month from tariffs. That adds up to nearly $350 billion per year, flowing directly into the federal treasury. The critical issue isn't whether the money exists, it's how that money is going to be distributed and who gets a piece of it. Stick with me, because what I'll show you is that while the first recipients are not the entire American population, the precedent being set could open the door for broader checks in the near future. And remember, history tells us something important. In an election year, politicians look for ways to boost approval, and direct cash support has always been one of their favorite tools. If you care about how these developments could impact Social Security recipients, seniors, or low-income families, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Social Security Post. Tariffs are essentially taxes imposed on imported goods. When the U.S. government levies tariffs, companies bringing in products from other countries pay those taxes, which often translates into higher costs for consumers. But from the government's perspective, tariffs are a massive revenue stream. Right now, these tariffs are generating nearly $29 billion every month, and that means almost $350 billion annually. To put that into perspective, this amount is larger than the yearly Social Security benefits paid to millions of disabled workers or survivors. This isn't just loose change, it's a financial windfall sitting in Washington's pocket. The question becomes, how will these funds be used? Historically, tariff revenue has been absorbed into the general budget, but President Trump is taking a different angle. He's signaling that part of this revenue should be redirected directly into the hands of specific groups struggling under the weight of tariffs. That idea could fundamentally reshape how this money flows back to the American people. And for seniors and fixed-income Americans, it could be the start of something very significant. Trump made it clear in recent remarks that the first group in line for tariff checks will be farmers. Farmers have been disproportionately impacted by tariffs, especially when other nations retaliated by cutting back on U.S. agricultural imports. At the same time, the costs of farming, from fertilizers to equipment, have risen sharply. Many in the agricultural sector are struggling to stay afloat, and Trump wants to direct a portion of tariff revenue towards stabilizing them. This proposal ties directly into the long-delayed Farm Bill, which Congress must complete by November 21st. The bill has already been delayed by 2 years, and now lawmakers are under pressure to wrap it up quickly. Trump is urging Congress to build in direct cash support for farmers using tariff revenue. If approved, these payments could start flowing as early as next year. This is a big test. Once Washington starts sending tariff checks to one group, it creates both precedent and political pressure to extend similar aid to others. It's natural to wonder, if farmers are getting help, what about everyone else? And that's where the silver lining begins to emerge. Trump's decision to target a group that is struggling because of tariffs opens the door for a wider conversation. Seniors, people with disabilities, and millions of low-income families are facing the exact same hardship. Tariffs drive up prices on groceries, prescription drugs, energy, and household goods, all essentials that fixed-income Americans can't avoid. The logic here is powerful. If tariff revenues are used to ease the burden on one struggling group, why not expand that relief to others? Economists consistently show that low-income households suffer the most under tariffs because they spend a larger share of their income on necessities. For Social Security recipients already living paycheck to paycheck, this is not an abstract issue. It's felt in every trip to the grocery store and every refill at the pharmacy. Trump's willingness to use tariff revenues as direct aid could be the first crack in the wall that eventually benefits seniors. Beyond economics, this is a political strategy. By approving payments to farmers, Trump signals a willingness to reward groups hit hardest by tariffs. But here's the bigger picture. We're only about a year away from the midterm elections. Politicians know from history that when they want to gain public favor, direct financial relief is one of the fastest ways to do it. Think about the stimulus checks during the pandemic. They were as much about economic stability as they were about political approval. That's why seniors and low-income groups shouldn't see this move as an exclusion, but as a possible first step. If distributing tariff checks to farmers proves popular, the same logic could be applied to millions of households struggling under inflationary pressure. It sets a precedent. And in Washington, once precedent exists, it's much easier for lawmakers to say, let's expand this program. For those on Social Security, this could mean tariff rebate checks are closer than they appear. This brings us to Senator Josh Hawley's proposal, the American Worker Rebate Act of 2025. Hawley suggested that tariff revenues should not just sit in the federal treasury or be handed to one industry. Instead, they should be shared directly with the American people in the form of rebate checks. Imagine a system where part of that $350 billion per year is distributed back into households across the country. While the proposal has not passed yet, Trump's openness to distributing tariff money gives it new life. If Washington is already considering giving checks to farmers, extending that to millions of working families or seniors is no longer a far-fetched idea. In fact, it could become a powerful campaign tool heading into 2026. The concept of profit-sharing tariff revenue has gone from fringe to mainstream, and seniors struggling on fixed incomes should be paying close attention to how this develops. Let's be clear, farmers deserve help, but they are not the only group hurting. Reports from think tanks and government studies consistently show that over 75% of low-income households are experiencing financial strain from tariffs. Prices for groceries, utilities, and medicine, items that make up most of a fixed-income household's budget, have all increased. Seniors, Social Security recipients, and people with disabilities are disproportionately exposed to these cost hikes. That's why this farmer-first approach may actually be good news for struggling Americans. It demonstrates Trump's willingness to take tariff revenues and transform them into direct cash support. If that logic holds, the next groups in line should be seniors and low-income families. Politically, it makes sense. There are tens of millions of voters in these categories, and offering them direct checks would be both an economic relief measure and a strategic move before the elections. This is where hope for expansion lies. All eyes are now on November 21st, the deadline for Congress to finalize the Farm Bill. If tariff checks for farmers are included and approved, it becomes the first concrete test of this policy. After that, lawmakers will be looking at other legislative opportunities, from budget negotiations to omnibus bills, where similar measures could be extended to a broader group of Americans. Every major bill becomes a potential vehicle for rebate checks. And don't forget the timing. With elections just a year away, the push for voter support is about to accelerate. History shows that nothing captures voter attention like direct cash in hand. Whether they call it tariff checks, rebates, or even catchy phrases like Trump change, the mechanics don't matter. What matters is whether seniors, disabled Americans, and families on tight budgets are included. The precedent is being set now, and the next several months will be critical. So here's the bottom line. Farmers are first in line for tariff checks, but this move could easily be expanded. With $350 billion in annual tariff revenues sitting on the table, there's more than enough room to include seniors, people on Social Security, and low-income families who are struggling with rising prices. The question is whether Congress and the White House will take the next step. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think tariff rebate checks should stay limited to farmers, or should seniors and low-income families be added to the program? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading and featuring some of your feedback in upcoming videos. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Social Security Post. We're here to keep you updated with clear, factual, and timely information that impacts your benefits and your financial future.